It has been a testing time for the #1 ranked lightweight, Arman Tsarukyan. He has been away from work for 589 days.
Like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. Yeah, I'm ballin' like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time.
It's the night of April 20th, 2019, in St. Petersburg, Russia. UFC CEO Dana White is in attendance to watch a standard fight night card, unaware that the sport's biggest future problem is about a debut right in front of him. Arman Tsarukyan, at just 22 years old, takes on future UFC great Islam Makhachev. And unfortunately for Arman, by the final bell, Makhachev gets a decision victory. But the real story isn't who won. It's that a 22-year-old debutant just went toe-to-toe with the prodigy from the Dagestani crew, the same crew known for creating some of the world's greatest fighters. In fact, the unanimous decision doesn't give a fair representation of how the fight actually went. Instead, every exchange was competitive, with Arman matching Islam's pace and answering every single takedown. And although their fight wasn't the main event of the evening, suddenly the crowd and the UFC are paying attention, because with this, a future superstar is born. Now, to help you understand where he came from, we go back to 1996, where he was born in a small town in Georgia. It was there where Arman spent the first 3 years of his life growing up, until his family later relocated to eastern Russia. The reasoning for this was that Arman's father, Nairi Tsarukyan, saw opportunity in creating a construction tycoon. Now, for Arman, growing up in this region meant that combat sports aren't just hobbies, but instead, they're expectations. In other places around the world, they focus on sports like soccer, basketball, football, whereas here, it was either wrestling, boxing, or MMA. And although he was raised in a family that lived and breathed wrestling, he decided to pursue a different sport, hockey. And at first, Arman excelled and showcased his great athleticism on a junior professional team in Russia. He even had dreams of making it to the NHL. However, this all changed because at 17 years old, he and his family grew aware of the corruption within the Russian hockey system, and he quit the sport. Yet, at the same time, the move to Russia proved to be successful as his father amassed hundreds of millions of dollars through their family construction company. And honestly, any normal kid would look at this and lose all sense of motivation.
Who's gonna carry the boats in the lawn?
Realizing that they would never have to work again in their lives. But instead, Arman's father was different. He wanted to ingrain the idea of hard work in his kids, and he told Arman he either had to come work construction with him or find a different path in life. And for Arman, this decision was simple. He decided to dedicate his entire life to MMA, as he never envisioned a 9-to-5 life.
I didn't like working somewhere you have a schedule 8, you gotta go to the job until 6, and someone tell do this, do that. But in the sport, you control yourself, your schedule. You wanna train, you train. You wanna rest, you rest.
No one wants to slave their life away working a shitty 9-to-5. And thankfully, this was also around the same time his father created his fortune, so it allowed Arman to train in better gyms with better coaches, and also have the ability to travel anywhere in the world to find these gyms and coaches. Except the thing is, fighting has always been a poor man's game. I could name you a million stories of the typical rags to riches theme. You know, like the typical you're broke, nobody believes in you, and you grinded and made a name for yourself. And this type of story is especially seen in the UFC, with fighters like Alex Pereira and Charles Oliveira being fan favorites. Yet surprisingly, today this is changing, where you're now starting to have fighters who came from money become greats in the sport. Arman is probably most known for this, as he's even nicknamed the UFC's Bruce Wayne, and he's one of the fighters who actually fits his nickname. He has all the things people dream about: flashy cars, private jets, luxury jewelry, you name it, he had it. But really, how is a spoiled rich kid going to come in a dominant sport where you're severely underpaid and forced to fight trained killers? I mean, I don't really have the answer to this either. Arman's time in the UFC came with some difficult challenges, yet he always had an answer for his opponents. He showcased his skills in dominant fashion, but even then, the only people who knew about him were Armenians.
Hey, looks like a fun party. Hey, listen, it's 2 in the morning. When is your 5-year-old gonna go to sleep?
Soon, very soon. You want weird food wrapped in weird leaves?
And after years of hard work, this all changed on April 13th, 2024, where he was given the UFC's golden boy, Charles Oliveira, on UFC 300. The entire fighting community was basically watching this event. But what if I told you the fight between him and Charles wasn't the reason he made headlines that night? Instead, as Arman made his entrance at the T-Mobile Arena, a fan in the front row flipped him off, to which Tsarukyan thought it was a smart idea to throw a punch at the fan. And after the fight, this is what he had to say in a post-fight press conference regarding the incident in his walkout.
What exactly happens with those fans on your entrance?
He showed me fuck you and wanted to punch me, and I wanted to punch him back. That's it. So the guys, no one showed me fuck you. Doesn't matter who you are, I'm gonna punch you on the face. You can fuck to show me fuck from the 200 meters, I'm not gonna like punch you. But when you're close to me, it's like automatically, you know.
The fan, identified as Obed Ardan, surprisingly apologized to Arman and the UFC and said that he was buzzing with excitement, stating he would not take legal action against the UFC and Arman. He explained that he did not intend to provoke a fight, but simply got caught up in the moment. However, just because he decided not to take legal action against Arman doesn't mean that Tsarukyan got away with this. Instead, the Nevada State Athletic Commission took formal action and originally gave him a 9-month suspension, which was later reduced to 6 months after he completed an anti-bullying course, along with a $25,000 fine, which I'm really sure hurt his pockets. I mean, just look at this video of him training while being suspended. He couldn't even afford a gym membership. Now, despite the pre-fight chaos, Arman defeated Charles Oliveira via split decision, which solidified his position as the #1 contender for the lightweight title, which meant that all that's left was a rematch with the same fighter who he had debuted against, Islam Makhachev. The hype regarding this fight was through the roof. It was one of the most anticipated matchups in a while. Islam Makhachev, the successor to Khabib in the lightweight division, looked like he could not be beaten. Yet, here comes a rich Armenian kid who many thought was finally the one to be able to do it. January 18th, 2025, the date was set. But what if I told you that the UFC's billion-dollar problem only got worse? Because on January 17th, 2025, less than 24 hours before the fight, Dana White made an announcement on social media that Arman had called the UFC around 1 a.m. and reported he could not move or compete. The initial reason was a severe back injury, and that he had suffered a hernia that caused him crazy pain. Yet just days before the fight, here he is on video with Nina Drama. Now, does this look like a guy who had a hernia? Clearly not. And fans weren't stupid either, because they also had the same suspicion. Rumors began to circulate that the pullout happened right before the weigh-ins, which gave speculation that he could not make weight for the fight. And when he posts videos like this on Instagram, it doesn't help his case. Furthermore, seeing the reaction by Dana White himself and how furious he was with Arman, all signs point to a deeper issue than just a hernia. After all, a fighter pulling out of a fight because of a severe injury should not warrant the future treatment that the UFC has given Arman since his title withdrawal. Because after this, Dana White vowed to have Arman go back to the drawing board and not be given an immediate title shot upon his return, which caused Arman almost 2 years of inactivity in the UFC, until finally he was given a redemption fight, Dan Hooker in Qatar. So now, after all the problems he has caused Dana White, surely he would go into this on his best behavior, right? I don't even know what to say anymore. He may never get that title shot again. But anyways, in all honesty, Arman Tsarukyan is one of the most brightest stars and dominant fighters this sport has seen in a while. And it would be a shame for Dana White to continue to prolong Arman's title shot. Because I'm sorry, in no world is Justin Gaethje a viable opponent for Ilia Topuria. And thankfully today, Arman has been doing a reformed world tour and is showcasing to the casual fans the great personality he has. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment on any future content you'd like to see.